Have you ever watched a film and noticed something out of place, like a prop that shouldn't be there or something changing in the background? These mistakes happen more often than you might think, and some of them stay in the movie for everyone to see. Star Wars. In the famous 1977 movie Star Wars, A New Hope, a group of stormtroopers walked into a room on the Death Star. As they enter through a big door, one stormtrooper accidentally bumps his head on the top of the doorframe. The mistake was real.
Take over.
The actor inside the stormtrooper costume, Laurie Good, later said that he wasn't feeling well that day. He also said that the costume was very hard to see through, so he didn't notice the low door and hit his head. Even though it was a mistake, the director George Lucas decided to keep it in the final movie. He probably thought it looked funny or didn't really hurt the scene. People loved it so much that in later versions of the movie, they even added a sound effect to make it more obvious and funny. Pretty Woman, 1990. In the romantic comedy Pretty Woman, there's a scene where Julia Roberts' character is having breakfast with Edward, played by Richard Gere. Vivian is seen eating a croissant during their conversation. But in the very next shot, without any explanation, the croissant has suddenly turned into a pancake. This is a classic example of a continuity error in movies. Scenes are often shot many times from different angles, and small details like food can change between takes. In this case, the breakfast food changed, but no one noticed during editing. Even though it's a clear mistake, the scene was left in the final cut because the focus was more on the actors and their emotions rather than the food. The filmmakers didn't think it would ruin the scene, and they were right. Most people didn't notice until years later. Gone in 60 Seconds, 2000. In the action-packed movie Gone in 60 Seconds, there's a famous car chase scene where Nicolas Cage's character is driving a Mustang called Eleanor. During this intense moment, he speeds through the city, dodging cops and obstacles. In one shot, Memphis smashes the car into a wall. You clearly see the driver's side mirror break off and the car door get badly damaged. But here's where the mistake happens. Just a few seconds later, in the very next scene, the car door looks completely fine. No scratches, no dents, and the mirror is magically back in place. The Curse of the Black Pearl, 2003. One of the most famous and funny mistakes ever spotted in a Hollywood film happened during the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie. In one scene, Captain Jack Sparrow, played by Johnny Depp, is standing proudly on his pirate ship, the Black Pearl, along with his crew. The camera shows a wide shot of the ship's deck. The focus is on pirates and their conversations. But if you look carefully at the left side of the screen, you'll notice something odd, someone who doesn't belong there at all. Standing in the background is a man wearing a white t-shirt, sunglasses, and a cowboy hat in totally modern clothing. He's not part of the movie, and he's definitely not a pirate. He was a crew member who accidentally got caught on camera during filming. Fans have since nicknamed him Cowboy Pirate because of his hat. The Fellowship of the Ring, 2001. In The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, 2001, there's a charming and funny moment early in the film that fans still love. It happens when Gandalf the Grey, played by Sir Ian McKellen, visits his old friend Bilbo Baggins at his home in Bag End. Since Bag End is a hobbit house, everything inside it is made for much smaller people. The ceilings are low, the furniture is small, and the doors are short. As Gandalf walks around the house, he's clearly too tall for the space. While he's moving through the narrow hallway, he suddenly bangs his head on a wooden beam. This wasn't planned in the script. Ian McKellen actually accidentally hit his head during the filming. But instead of breaking character or asking for another take, he kept going. He made it seem natural.
Tea, thank you.
Director Peter Jackson liked it so much that he decided to keep it in the final cut of the movie. The Two Towers. In The Two Towers, there's a powerful and emotional scene where Aragorn, played by Viggo Mortensen, believes that two of his close friends, Merry and Pippin, might be dead. He finds what looks like a pile of burned bodies and, in frustration, kicks a helmet lying on the ground and screams in pain. At first glance, it looks like a perfectly acted moment, but it wasn't just acting, it was real. Viggo Mortensen had actually broken 2 of his toes while kicking that heavy steel helmet. Viggo was deeply committed to the role of Aragorn. He often did his own stunts and preferred to stay in character, even when cameras weren't rolling. On this day, they were filming several takes of the scene. In the final take, Viggo kicked the helmet much harder than before. The force was so strong that he immediately fractured 2 of his toes. Instead of breaking character or asking to stop, he dropped to his knees and screamed in real pain. But it looked exactly like something Aragorn would do. Director Peter Jackson was watching the monitors and didn't realize at first that Viggo had hurt himself. But when he saw the playback, he noticed how powerful and real the scream was, and this is how it was made in the final cut. Ace Ventura. In Ace Ventura, when nature calls, there's a funny scene where Ace is talking to his enemy, Fulton Greenwall. They're sitting at a chessboard, and Greenwall is supposed to be playing a game of chess. However, if you look closely, you'll see something odd. The chess pieces on the board change positions between shots. Sometimes pieces disappear, and sometimes they show up in different places. It's not just a mistake, it happens many times in the scene. In this case, the chess pieces were probably moved around by the actors or crew during the filming. Since this scene has a lot of action and quick camera cuts, it's easy to miss the little details like the chess pieces. Even though it was an obvious mistake, the filmmakers didn't fix it. One reason could be that the chess mistake wasn't very important to the story. Django Unchained. During a dramatic dinner scene in Django Unchained, Leonardo DiCaprio's character Calvin Candy slams his hand on the table while delivering an intense monologue. In that moment, DiCaprio accidentally smashed a glass and seriously cut his hand, but he didn't break character.
Now lay your palms flat on that tabletop. If you lift those palms off that turtle shell tabletop, Mr. Pooch is gonna let loose.
Instead of stopping, he kept acting, his hand dripping with real blood. He even used the blood in the scene, wiping it on actress Kerry Washington's face, which was not scripted. Everyone on set was shocked, but because he stayed in character so perfectly, director Quentin Tarantino chose to keep the scene in the final film. Midnight Cowboy, 1969. In one of the most memorable scenes from Midnight Cowboy, Dustin Hoffman's character, Ratso Risso, and Jon Voight's character are walking across a New York City street. Suddenly, a real taxi almost hits them. This wasn't part of the script at all. Without breaking character, Hoffman slams his hand on the cab's hood and yells, "I'm walking here!"
I'm walking here! I'm walking here! Up yours, you son of a bitch!
His reaction was totally improvised, and the line became one of the most iconic in movie history. The moment was so real, and Hoffman stayed perfectly in character. Director John Schlesinger loved how authentic it felt, especially in a movie about gritty New York street life. Instead of reshooting, they kept that raw, unscripted take in the final film. The line, "I'm walking here," became instantly famous. Titanic. The sketching scene is one of the most memorable moments in Titanic, where Jack draws Rose in the nude, wearing only the Heart of the Ocean necklace. However, what many people may not know is that a small, unintentional slip of the tongue ended up making the scene even more memorable. In the moment leading up to the sketching, Jack instructs Rose to lie on the couch. But in an unexpected turn, Leonardo DiCaprio says, "Lie on that bed. Couch." It was a complete accident, a simple mistake, but what happened next was interesting.
Over on the bed, the couch.
Director James Cameron, instead of calling cut and redoing the line, decided to keep the mistake in the film. He felt that the slip-up added a layer of nervousness to Jack's character and helped build the chemistry between him and Rose. Harry Potter. One of the biggest mistakes in the Harry Potter movies is how Hermione Granger's hair changes from film to film. In the books, J.K. Rowling clearly described Hermione as having big, bushy hair. But in the movies, her hairstyle keeps changing. It's a detail many fans noticed right away. In the first movie, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, Hermione's hair is frizzy and thick, just like in the books. It looks very natural and gives the feeling that she's a little girl who doesn't care too much about how she looks. Emma Watson, who played Hermione, wore her hair wild and curly, which fit her character well. But in the second film, Chamber of Secrets, Hermione's hair looks more styled. It's still curly but not as bushy as before. By the time we reach the Prisoner of Azkaban, her hair is smoother and shoulder length. From this point, the hair starts to change a lot. In the Goblet of Fire, at the Yule Ball scene, her hair is done up in a fancy style that looks very grown up and pretty. Many fans love that look, but some also felt it was too far from the bushy hair described in the books. In the later movies like The Half-Blood Prince and Deathly Hallows, Hermione's hair becomes even straighter and lighter in color. This is a big change from the original look. Some fans think this change shows her growing up, while others believe it was a mistake not to keep the original hair consistent. The Star Wars A New Hope. In Star Wars A New Hope, there's an easily noticeable mistake involving a lightsaber. This error occurred during one of the scenes where Luke Skywalker is wielding his lightsaber. In this particular scene, Luke is practicing with his lightsaber while Obi-Wan Kenobi is nearby, guiding him on how to use it. Luke's lightsaber, which is famously blue in the movie, has a noticeable issue. The color of the lightsaber changes during the filming of the scene, and it turns green. At one point, as Luke swings his lightsaber around in training, the blade changes from blue to green. This mistake was caused by a production issue where the prop used for the lightsaber was lit differently during filming, causing the color to appear differently on camera. The filmmakers didn't notice the color shift until later in the production process, so the mistake ended up in the final cut of the movie. American Sniper. In the 2014 war drama American Sniper, directed by Clint Eastwood and starring Bradley Cooper, there's a scene that got a lot of attention, not because of the acting or the story, but because of a very mistake involving a baby. In the scene, Chris Kyle, played by Bradley Cooper, is at home with his wife, played by Sienna Miller. They are supposed to be holding and caring for their newborn baby, but if you look closely, you'll notice that the baby is clearly a plastic doll. It doesn't move at all, its skin looks fake, and Bradley Cooper even moves its hand with his own finger, trying to make it look more real. Car in an ancient battle in Braveheart. Braveheart is a famous movie released in 1995, directed by and starring Mel Gibson. It tells the story of William Wallace, a Scottish warrior who fights for freedom in the 13th century. The movie has big battle scenes, old costumes, horses, swords, everything you'd expect from a movie set hundreds of years ago. But there's one scene that made people laugh because of a big mistake. There was a modern-day car spotted in the background. In one of the epic battle scenes, while horses are charging and warriors are fighting with swords, if you look carefully in the background, you'll see a white car moving behind the army, a modern car. That's not something you'd ever expect to see in the year 1297. Most likely it was a mistake during filming. The car was probably from someone on the crew, maybe parked too close to the filming location. Or it could have been far in the background and they didn't notice it when they were filming. It's also possible they didn't catch it during editing. North by Northwest Mistake. North by Northwest is a classic thriller movie directed by Alfred Hitchcock in 1959. It stars Cary Grant and is full of mystery, spies, and action. But one scene in the movie has a mistake that fans still talk about today. In a scene that takes place inside a cafeteria, the characters are about to get into a dramatic moment. A woman is about to fire a gun at Cary Grant's character. Of course, in real life, no one around her would know a gun is about to go off. It's meant to be a surprise for the people nearby and for the audience too. But here's where the mistake happens. There's a little boy extra in the background, and he covers his ears a few seconds before the gunshot happens. This is something he should not have known was coming, but clearly, the boy had been told during rehearsals that a loud noise was about to happen. He didn't wait for the actress to actually shoot. Instead, he instinctively plugs his ears early, giving away the surprise. Game of Thrones. In Season 8, Episode 4 of Game of Thrones, there was a big mistake that made everyone laugh and talk online. During a fancy dinner scene at Winterfell, after the big battle with the Night King, all the main characters were celebrating. They were sitting around long wooden tables, eating and drinking. Everything looked like it belonged to an old fantasy world. Candles, wooden mugs, metal cups, fur clothing. But suddenly you will see a Starbucks coffee cup on the table in front of Daenerys Targaryen. In a world with dragons, swords, and castles, A coffee cup from our world showed up in the middle of the shot. It stayed there for a full scene before the camera angle changed. Fans noticed the cup quickly after the episode aired and posted screenshots all over the internet. People made jokes like, "Did Daenerys order a vanilla latte before battle?" And "Starbucks has finally come to Westeros." The show creators said it was a mistake. They didn't notice it during filming or editing. Later, HBO edited the episode and removed the cup from future versions. So if you watch it now on streaming, the cup is gone. But we got it for you. The Mandalorian. If you're watching The Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 4, The Siege, closely, you might spot a funny little mistake that we noticed. In one scene, Mando, Din Djarin, Grief Karga, and Cara Dune are in the middle of a tense action moment inside an old Imperial base. The camera shows them moving through a hallway during a shootout. But if you look carefully at the left side of the screen during one of the wide shots, you'll notice something odd. A man wearing jeans and a t-shirt is partly visible, just standing there in the background. He's clearly not part of the Star Wars galaxy. There are no robes, helmets, or space gear, just regular blue jeans and a gray shirt. He looks like a crew member who accidentally stepped into the shot while they were filming. This mistake went viral, and fans nicknamed him Jeans Guy. Memes were everywhere, and many people joked that he should be added as a new Star Wars character, Harry Potter. In Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, there's a mistake involving Hermione's bag. In the movie, Hermione carries a small leather bag, which she uses to store important items like magical supplies. This bag is very important because she keeps using it throughout the movie, but if you watch carefully, you will see something strange. In one scene, Hermione is holding the bag, but in the very next shot, it disappears from her hand, and she's not holding it anymore. It looks like she had the bag one moment, and then suddenly it's gone in the next frame. It probably happened because of a change in the camera angle or a mistake during editing. Since Hermione's bag is an important part of the story, this mistake stands out a little more.